How much faith do you have in the world? If a random stranger came up to you today asking for help, how willing would you be to help them? What makes a person so endearing to you that you've never met before? Is it their smile?
We're here.
Is it their kind eyes? Is it their charm? Is it their personality? Or is it your own internal self-reflection to envision the best in others when there's no evidence to suggest that you should? Now let me reverse the roles.
What if a complete stranger reached out to you offering to help you? What if you grew up in isolation from the rest of the world, surrounded by green fields, cows, and a man's best friend? How willing would you be to fly to a different country and meet someone who you don't know what they look like, sound like, or whether or not you can trust them?
And what if I told you I did exactly that? Flying to the Netherlands to meet a random Dutch kid named Owen and his friends who had a free football ticket for me in quite possibly one of the craziest, most chaotic, most life-changing 24 hours of my life. Would you change your perspective on saying yes to strangers? I think you might.
Welcome to episode 18 of the world's biggest football series, Europe 1-807, as I headed to AZ Alkmaar in the semi-finals of the UEFA Conference League.
AZ Alkmaar versus West Ham. I don't think I'll find a more crazier matchday experience than today.
My name is Jamie and I'm on a mission to complete the world's biggest football series. I want to watch every First Division team in Europe and each of the EFL 72 in the United Kingdom, watching 807 different matches across 54 countries in 57 different leagues. I want to create the world's biggest and best football series, documenting each of my experiences throughout the 807 different football clubs I'm going to visit, showing the world what a bit of creativity, self-belief, kindness of strangers, and a bit of luck can get you. I've put absolutely everything I have into this football series. This is more than a football series. This is a series about life. This is Europe 1-807.
Imagine not liking football. Imagine not liking football.
Okay, let me explain why this football ticket right here changed the rest of my life. Okay, so 18th of May 2023, UEFA Conference League semi-final in AZ Alkmaar. Wow. Where do we even start? So, after the success of my football series blowing up, hello Lucky. This is a stray dog we took in. This is Lucky. After the success of the series blowing up, I had hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of messages from random strangers all across the world. People offering to drive me across Kazakhstan, to the Faroe Islands, to Estonia, to Lithuania, to Sweden, absolutely everywhere in the world, in Europe. And one particular person that reached out to me was a Dutch kid named Owen. Owen sent me a message on Instagram and he was telling me about Alkmaar. But at this point in time, Alkmaar were actually in a semi-final of the Europa Conference League. Conference League was a new format created in 2021 to give a chance to clubs not as big as your Ajaxes and your PSVs and your Feyenoords in the Dutch league who might actually have a chance of competing in European football, like Alkmaar. So Alkmaar reached the semi-final that season in the 2022-2023 season. They actually happened to be facing up against West Ham from England. Owen reached out to me and he said, if you're able to come to the Netherlands, I can get you a free ticket for the semi-final of the Conference League. Now, any normal person would think, why would you trust a stranger? This is just some kid. You don't know what he looks like, you don't know what he sounds like, never met the kid before, and he's offering you a free ticket in a country you've never been to before. Why would you want to say yes? I instantly said yes. So I actually went back to my old job at this point. After the series blew up, I needed a bit of money. And I went back working in the petrol station in the Centra where I live in Kilkenny in Ireland to finance a bit of money, but I actually managed to squeeze these 2 days off. It was a big match. I couldn't say no to this, but I still had to find a way to get there. I found cheap enough flights to Amsterdam, and I thought to myself, fuck, this is enticing. This is really, really enticing. I think I wanted to do something big. I had just uploaded this football series. I wanted to keep momentum going. I wanted to keep the ball rolling. And what better way than a Conference League semi-final in the Netherlands? Okay, so I hopped on a plane to Amsterdam, and I'm in Schiphol Airport, and I'm thinking, what the fuck is this? This is huge. Where do I even go? Where do I get a ticket? What am I even doing? I've been traveling for the last 6 months, and I've been figuring things out and working out how to travel by myself. But this was a complete mess. I was like, how do I even get to the city centre? Where is the city centre? And that's when I bumped into this random girl named Lisa. And this girl named Lisa had been traveling all across South America and Southeast Asia for the last years. And she just took a gap year. And she was in the same predicament as me. She was trying to figure out how to actually get to her train. And I tried my best to help her out, and we ended up getting the train to Amsterdam. And we spent about an hour or two just chatting, just going around Amsterdam a little bit, just getting to know each other. And this was the first interaction of the day with just random strangers, where it gave me a bit of confidence just to think, okay, this is just some random girl who's approached me. I can talk to anyone. It's fine. Everyone speaks English, it's fine. And we get into Amsterdam, and I'm going to check into my hostel. I laugh now because it was the type of experience where straight away I knew what I was getting myself into in the lobby when these 4 middle-aged Englishmen who had come to Amsterdam for a stag do, they came to Amsterdam for the right reasons, I didn't, were all in the lobby with me. Hello, Sky. And I just thought, okay, this is the hostel experience right here. You get absolutely everything in a hostel. It's not just young, like-minded people like yourself. It's everyone, anything that can approach a hostel. So I'm heading to the train station, and I arrive there, and it's just West Ham fans everywhere, packed with West Ham fans. We're heading on the train to Alkmaar, and I'm just absolutely bundled in with West Ham fans, no seats to sit on, and just standing up with these West Ham fans. They have no idea that I'm actually going to the Alkmaar home end whilst they're going to the away end. But one of the funniest anecdotes from traveling, even 2 years on from filming, was this West Ham fan. She sat on the train. It's one of those 4 seats where 2 here, 2 here. And she sat there, and she's a bit tipsy at this point. She's had a bit to drink, and she's got her bottle, and she's kind of swirling a little bit in her mouth, and she's drinking it. But you can tell she's not very conscious at this stage. She's a bit out of it, and she's drinking, and immediately she just gets sick into the window. Not fully sick, but just a little bit sick. And you're thinking, oh, fucking hell. That's not even the worst part. 5 minutes later, she's asleep like this, head on the window, like this. And she vomits right in front of the Dutch man sat across from her. He stands up, looks at her, dead in the eyes, eye contact, and says, "You fucking dirty cow," and walks off. I was speechless, absolutely stunned. And I think that was a shape of what was to come for the rest of the evening. That's how it was going to start, and it was going to finish a lot worse. So we get off the train, and straight away, horses, police, batons, shields, you name it, they had it. A full police escort for the West Ham fans. Except I wasn't a West Ham fan, so I'm crowded into this police escort thinking, I need to get out of here. I asked the man and he says, no, you have to go with us. I'm going with them with the police escort. Luckily for us, that police escort, there was no trouble. There was a lot of trouble in bars across Alkmaar and Amsterdam, where Alkmaar hooligans attacked West Ham fans and there was a bit of back and forth. I think even Andy Carroll got in a fight. So we're being shepherded to the fan zone. And I'm thinking, I've got a match to get to in the home end. I can't be here. So in the fan zone, and I managed to sneak out of the fan zone and I get to walk to the stadium by myself. So I get to the stadium and this is where I met Owen and his friends Lucas and Atilia. So I'm messaging Owen and he says, oh, meet us on the hill. Get to the stadium, there's a little motorway. But on top of the motorway there's a bit of a bridge and there's this big hill you climb up on. So the Alkmaar fans were welcoming the players on the bus with a huge pyro display. Fireworks, everything. I get up to the top of the hill, climbing through the nettles. And I meet Owen. And he's just this normal Dutch kid. So friendly, so polite. I meet him, his friends, his dad. Firstly, how do you explain this to his dad? Like this English guy who's travelled all the way from Ireland and has this crazy idea to watch football in every first division team in Europe, and your son is offering to give him a free ticket. How do you explain that? How do you explain that to your dad? And I think that's the funniest part, is that his dad was so on board with the whole idea. He loved the concept. He loved what I was trying to do. This was at the very early stages. This is where there wasn't that big of a reach. There wasn't that much of a following. It was just very initial. It blew up from TikTok, but in general, the idea was pretty unknown. So to allow your son to talk to a stranger on the internet and invite him to the Netherlands to give him a free ticket, I think that just shows the good in people, to not assume the worst. So we get down to the stadium and I have like a bit of a tour of the stadium. We go inside the club shop. There's a bit of a museum inside it. And I'm really getting the feel for it now. I'm thinking, shit, this is actually happening. I've got the ticket right in my hand here. I'm about to go inside. But before that, let me show you something.
Okay, so I actually deleted this part from my phone, but this is a scarf from another fan called Pierre, who invited me to actually come to the match beforehand, but I got a ticket from Owen. But I met Pierre outside the ground and he gave me a scarf because I wanted to fit in a little bit. And just my thoughts on the actual match itself, from what I remember, was the atmosphere was brilliant. It was such a tiny, compact stadium with 19,000 to 20,000 people. But it was so intense. I loved that this was such a proper atmosphere. There was about 3,000 West Ham away fans in full voice. And the home crowd were really going for it, and the players gave everything. They were trying so much. I remember Areola had the game of his life, save after save after save. But Alkmaar just couldn't find a way. And eventually Pablo Fornal scored and the tie was settled. Except that wasn't the end of the tie.
Okay, so my thoughts on the whole situation. At the time, when Pablo Fornal scored, obviously there's a huge eruption in that away end. West Ham fans were very, very decent the whole game. But we noticed there was quite a big section in the home stand, just above the dugouts, that were celebrating. So you're thinking, how did that many West Ham fans get tickets together? Because no one in the stadium would have assumed that it was players' families. That's not your instant thought. So I'm sat there thinking, how has this even happened? like there's so many fans in the home end that are West Ham fans celebrating. And that's when it didn't go down well with the home support, because the Alkmaar ultras or hooligans decided to storm the pitch. Literally storm the pitch. They jumped down, they broke through a barrier. The wall, like the door came down, and they started to head straight over to the players' families in that little section and attack them. This was serious, and a big bang just went off, and you could just see hundreds of people all dressed in black, balaclavas, hoodies, storming the players' families section. And you just sat there just enthralled by this experience. You just think, holy shit, like this is so bad. Just, and then riot police coming out trying to stop it. And if you actually look at the clips, if you remember, there was a fan called Nolsey, West Ham fan, and he's literally on it, just punching these Alkmaar fans. He's just punching. And it's just bizarre. And you see the West Ham players going down to actually fight with the Alkmaar fans. And you're thinking, what is this? Like, what is this? What have I got myself into? And it was just crazy. I've watched football all my life, and I've never thought about the possibility of these things happening, because you're so programmed to how football looks on TV, and you're also shown what they want to show you. You're not shown the harsh reality of what football looks like in these countries, with the threats of hooliganism, violence. And yeah, it was just unbelievable. So eventually, after watching it for quite a while, I decided I have to get out of here. I get out of the stadium and I meet up with Owen and his friends and his dad, and we start chatting about it. And we're just thinking, like, what was that? What did we just watch? And this is where things got complicated for me, because I had to get back to Amsterdam because I was staying in the hostel. The only problem is that I was an English-speaking person wearing an Alkmaar scarf. That didn't go down well. Trying to explain that to people in the trains, trying to explain that to the police at the train station, that I need to get a train to Amsterdam and not be on the coach with the West Ham fans. That took an absolute eternity to explain. Eventually, I managed to get onto a train. I almost got threatened by a police officer. That was a little scary. And I'm making it back to Amsterdam, but I made the one fatal mistake of getting off the stop before. So this is about 2 a.m. in the morning. I've got off in the wrong stop. There's no more trains back to Amsterdam. I've got to walk the whole way. So I'm walking in Amsterdam by myself. And yeah, just thinking, what have I experienced? In the last 6 hours, I have lived about a month. Just, my head is fried. This is 2 a.m. I'm walking back to a hostel in Amsterdam after experiencing all of that.
AZ Alkmaar versus West Ham. I don't think I'll find a more crazier matchday experience than today. It's currently almost 2 o'clock in the morning, and I'm stranded in the middle of Amsterdam. And just the whole day was mental.
So, why should you say yes to strangers? Why should you do exactly what I did and put yourself in a dangerous situation like that, not knowing the person you're going to meet, what they look like, what they sound like, or if you can even trust them? Well, what I can tell you is, from the next 2 years of my life, saying yes to strangers has absolutely changed my life. It's changed my whole perspective on how I see the world and how I also feel that other people should see the world. There is so much wrong with the world. So much bad shit is happening. So many things where you think, why? Why are we doing this to ourselves? Why are we making this as difficult as possible to experience life? What I would say is it's your perception. It's your perception on how you view the world. If you view the world as a negative place, it's going to be a negative place. If you view the world as a positive place, it's going to be a positive place. And it's that simple little mindset that changed that night when I met Owen, and I just saw how incredible people can be. And something you'll see later on is one of my favorite quotes I've heard is that I don't like humans, but I like people. In general, the human race is pretty shitty, but people can surprise you, and people are very generous and they're very kind. But you need to change your perception on how you view that. You need to be willing and open to let people in and to also accept help from others. Because you know what? If I didn't say yes and I didn't take this ticket right here, this football series would have died. It would have died instantly. I wouldn't have had the money, I wouldn't have had the help, I wouldn't have had the support to keep doing what I'm doing. And it was the kindness of strangers. And I think to myself, why would so many people be willing to help me? And I think the simple answer is that people see the vision. They see what I'm trying to achieve and they want to be part of that. They want to be part of something so big. They want to be part of something just so bigger than life that something like a little TikTok idea can transform into what I hope is going to be the world's biggest football series and potentially the best football series. And I think something as ambitious as Europe 1-7, I think it's going to attract a lot of attention, and I think a lot of people want to say, I was there. I helped him for that match. I gave him a bit of support, you know, stuff like that. I think it sparks a bit of curiosity in the minds of people when they see something like this. And I think that's what saying yes to strangers is. It's sparking curiosity in your own mind to think, what if I did help them? What if I decided I can help them? I can make their life just a slight bit better, and that butterfly effect could lead to something huge. And I think that's what this football series is the importance of small actions. Small actions such as receiving a football ticket that can have a butterfly effect and create something as big as the rest of the series that you're going to see. And that's fucking beautiful. So that was episode 18 of Europe 1-7 at AZ Alkmaar. Grazie Millie. Ciao, ciao.